I'm infant massage instructor Helen Thompson. Hello and welcome to First Time Mums Chat. Being a parent for the first time is challenging and changes your life in every way imaginable. To help ease your transition into parenthood, I aim to offer supportive, holistic approaches and insights for mums of babies aged 4 weeks to 10 months old. My goal is to assist you to become the most confident parent you can and smooth out the bumps along the way. This podcast is brought to you by My Baby Massage, so let's do this together. This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. Please contact a medical practitioner if you are concerned or have any medical issues. When I teach parents how to massage their babies, I always urge them before massaging the little ones to be extremely cautious when it comes to their choice of massage oils. So I was very excited this week when I interviewed Ruth Casper, who is a qualified aromatherapist and reflexologist. I made the most of this opportunity and quizzed Ruth on topics including essential oils and when it is safe to use them, and I'm sure you'll find some great tips from our discussion. Hi Ruth, welcome to First Time Mums. It's great to have you here, and I really enjoyed our initial chat when we were talking about essential oils and just oils in general, what they can do for mums, babies, household, etc., etc. And I just thought I'd start by getting you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and where you're about your aromatherapy, etc.
Thanks, Helen, and thank you for inviting me. It was a lovely surprise and quite passionate about aromatherapy. So I'm a natural therapist. I work in southern Tasmania at Kingston, which is close to Hobart, and I have diplomas in remedial massage and in reflexology and in clinical aromatherapy. So clients come for massage and or reflexology, and I always incorporate aromatherapy with the treatments, except on very rare occasions when the client doesn't want to use any essential oils. That's pretty rare. Most people are really happy and enthusiastic about using essential oils, which I dilute into cream or oil that I use on them, and we customise the blend or whatever we use each time the person comes in, so it suits what they need on the day. And I have it's a bit of a bit of a disease, I think. I have over 50 essential oils.
Not a disease, that's good.
Well, I kind of have to rein myself in when I order. It's time for me to order. I'm getting low on some of them. I kind of have to slap myself on the wrist and say, no new ones, Ruth, it's enough.
That's so nice. So I can understand why you do that.
Yeah, it's really beneficial for the client, can address their physical, emotional, spiritual needs, whatever they need on the day, and just adds an extra layer of complexity, I suppose, and depth to the treatment and their experience.
So you say you do massage as well, and I know from my own experience with essential oils, which I know nothing, I only know basically because I'm not an aromatherapist. I always like to put essential oils in things when I'm massaging or when I'm doing baby massage or whatever. But in fact, I'll take that phrase out because I wouldn't use essential oils for babies because I know they're too strong. But you said you dilute them. So how do you actually dilute essential oils? How do you use them for massage? Because I know you've got to be very careful. So what you say you dilute them? So what's the structure? I don't know. I'd say instruction to how to dilute them.
So the general rule of thumb is if you're doing a body massage, I will dilute. It really shouldn't be more than about 1.5 to 2% in the carrier oil. So that takes some experience. I kind of use like a little round glass bowl, and I pump into that the carrier oil, and which is just the unscented massage oil, and then depending on what we agree, the client and I agree on, I'll often just use one, but sometimes we'll make a blend of two no more than 3, and I'll balance them so that they work together well. And so I guess because I'm quite experienced now, I don't actually have to measure things out. So yeah, a general rule of thumb is for adults to use no more than 1.5 to 2%. If you're just working on a small area of the body, say for reflexology, you can use a little bit, a slightly high concentration, maybe 2.5 to 3%, but you don't need to. Often less is more with aromatherapy. You will reduce those concentrations a lot. For example, if the person is elderly or frail or ill, or if I'm working with a teenager or someone who's, I guess, sub-adult, I would probably halve the concentration.
Is there a reason? Is there a reason for why? I can understand with the elderly, but with teenager, for instance, is there a reason for why you do that, or is it?
Yeah, their systems are more sensitive. They're growing, and their metabolism is pretty active. They've got hormones racing around, so it's just kind of to just be kind on their system.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing too is, let's just kind of go down in ages. So down to babies, because your focus is on first-time mums and babies. So as you mentioned correctly, essential oils are really concentrated substances. So in my opinion, they shouldn't be used on babies at all, because babies' immunities and their systems are so sensitive. I certainly wouldn't use them directly on their skin, diluted or otherwise. You should never use any essential oils undiluted on skin, regardless of the age of the person. But with babies, I wouldn't use them diluted, just because they're so sensitive. Yeah,
because I know you can buy. I've actually done a bit of research on this, because I also do baby massage, and I know you've done a little bit of baby massage as well. You can buy oils, the essential oils that are mixed in for colic. You can buy them online. Everybody sort of talks about buying them online, and I know somebody, a massage therapist in America, who also does infant massage, and she recommends them. But I'm so scared of recommending that kind of thing to somebody to do it on a baby, because, as you say, they're so strong. Would it be better maybe to put them in an infuser or something, or is that still too strong for babies? I don't know.
I think that's a lot safer. So if you want to have some aromatherapy for your baby, I would recommend using a diffuser or vaporizer. So you can buy them in the chemist, a lot of places. They basically work with an ultrasonic system. So you put some water in, there's no heat involved, which is really good for the essential oils, because those old-fashioned vaporizers where you kind of lit a candle underneath, or electric ones, they create heat and they actually denature the essential oils, so you're not getting what you want. And plus, obviously with a flame, there's a certain safety hazard. So
especially if they're babies, so if you're massaging them and having that next to them, I mean, and if it's on a table or something, they're not going to. But anyway, I see your point.
I would recommend just using an ultrasonic diffuser, which you can get in chemists. So they're often used for humidifying the air for asthmatics and things like that. So basically it's just a reservoir where you put some water in, and you can add some essential oil, and then you plug it in, and it just has an ultrasonic vibration, which basically mixes the water and the essential oil, and it creates a vapor, and there's no heat involved. So that's probably the safest thing for your baby. And again, I would use very little, because again, you can still, obviously it's getting into your baby's system, they're breathing it in, so you still want to be really, really cautious. I probably wouldn't use more than about 1 drop in per 100 ml, or even less. If you've got a bigger reservoir, just err on the side of caution. And again, there's certain essential oils that you wouldn't use on your baby or even on adults, depending on what their health history is. But you're right, Helen, that aromatherapy is unregulated in Australia, in the sense that anyone can stick up a brass plate and say they're an aromatherapist, which is a pity. So if you're going to get advice from an aromatherapist or aromatherapy advice, I would suggest that they actually have a government accredited qualification, either
Yeah,
a Cert 4 or a diploma, even better. I wouldn't be convinced by someone who's trying to sell me a product, because
that's what I thought.
Yeah, they tend to be, they're just marketing, and they can be really passionate and genuine and authentic in their passion, but their information and the training that they've had is only from the company, and it's really to sell stuff.
Yes.
So I'd be pretty cautious about taking advice from people who say that they're trained, but really they're just trying to sell stuff. Their training is pretty minimal, really, in my opinion.
No, and I know also, this is just something I've heard, and this is why I'm asking you, talking about an infuser, because I've been heard that fennel and peppermint and ginger are all good for things like colic and digestion and things like that. And lavender is good for sleep. Now, if I was to sort of recommend, recommend to a first-time mum to put those kind of things in an infuser whilst they're massaging their baby for the colic sequence or whatever, would that be all right to do, or are those particular oils good for colic? That's what I've been told. I don't know whether that's true.
Yeah, look, I think that would be fine, as long as you just really use minimal amounts. Even with adults, less is more. And look, if the blend doesn't smell great to the mum, it's probably not going to smell great to the baby.
Mm-hmm. So what sort of blend would you do if I was going to sort of say to somebody, if they're, for instance, if the baby's got colic and they're massaging and doing the colic sequence and they want to have a bit of an aromatherapy oil to sort of help them in an infuser, what oils would you sort of recommend for that?
Yeah, there's some nice things that are good for digestion. So ginger is nice, orange is nice as well.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into perhaps recommending that people do some intelligent research before they use.
Yeah.
So when we had a chat before, I mentioned 3 books.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, and maybe we can pop them on your website.
Yes, that would be good. I'll get you. Yeah, that would be good. I'll get them from you.
I really think that people should be as informed as possible, and because something is natural doesn't mean to say that it's benign. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
so
I do.
They obviously, these things obviously are therapeutic, but that also means that they can be quite powerful, and it also means that they can be good, but also maybe not good in certain circumstances. So I think people should really do their research to make sure that they're informed about what they're using on themselves or their family, and failing actually being able to ask a qualified aromatherapist. And so if people really want to use aromatherapy on their cells and their family, and really the best thing is that they're well informed and well researched. If you're going to dilute stuff out, you need some basic math skills. Okay, so if you're a bit shaky, if you're shaky on maths, get someone to help you.
Yeah,
get someone to help you. It's not kind of bucket cooking.
No.
When we get experienced with cooking, we can kind of go, oh yeah, till it looks right and whatever. But really, this is, especially with a baby and with an infant, you want to be really careful that you're doing good stuff and not bad stuff.
Yes, of course. And I'm just and the sort of oils that you can use on babies, which I learned in baby massage, I'll just check if there's any that I've sort of missed out on, is that they've got to be cold pressed and organic, and almond oil is good. But then, of course, I know you've got to concentrate on allergies for that one, what's the other one? Sesame oil, coconut oil.
They're all quite strong.
Olive oil, I've been told, isn't very good because it makes your baby's skin very slimy, and it doesn't really nurture the skin. I don't know if that's true, but that's what my research.
Look, all of the carrier oils, basically the molecules in the carrier oils are quite large, and so they're not going to absorb through the dermis and into the bloodstream. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of use an oil, I think something that's cold pressed and pure and organic is great. But honestly, with baby massage, in my opinion, you don't even need to use an oil. You can massage your baby just
cream.
Yeah, and and often mothers don't really like their baby to be really oily.
So there are particular creams in the respect of massage that you sort of would recommend to mums if they didn't use an oil? Are there any creams that I know you can get them from the soup? I mean, you can get them from the pharmacy and everything, but is there a particular brand that you, as an aromatherapist and a masseur, would recommend?
So with creams, yeah, I actually use a beautiful base cream, which is I get from the same company that provides the essential oils that I use. It's Essential Therapeutics, and I'm not, you asked me the question, so I'm telling you, basically, it is a practitioner only brand, which means that only people with qualifications. I mean, obviously, their base creams and stuff are, that they would most likely sell them to anybody. But with their essential oils, they are really particular about that people know what they're doing when they use essential oils. And I have a lot of faith that they use essential oils that are of the best quality. I'm not saying that other companies don't have good quality, but it's just that I know these guys do, and they have a good range. So yeah, look, the Essential Therapeutics base cream or base lotion are lovely. They don't use any petrochemicals or, in my opinion, Sorbolin's the most revolting stuff. It's got petrochemicals in it, and it's yucky. That's just my opinion. So the base cream and the base lotion of Essential Therapeutics, they use things that are kind of nicer on our bodies.
No, because when I did massage, I was always taught to use oils, but then some parents have said to me, can I use creams? And I always say, yes, you can. Use the ones that you choose, but make sure it's soft and organic and it feels safe for you. So
yeah, look, I think, mums can use whatever they, again, do their research and use whatever they feel is good for their baby and what they enjoy putting on their baby, and that feels nice for them and their baby. I think use their instinct, I think, is okay. They have questions. So the 3 go-to books that I have for aromatherapy, The Complete Guide to Aromatherapy by Salvatore Battaglia. He's in Australia, so that book should be easy to get at the moment. The other one, which is a great book, is Essential Oils in Colour by Rosemary Caddy. That's a beauty. And the other one, which is really very interesting, is Subtle Aromatherapy by Patricia Davis. Yeah, anyway, I really recommend those books. So I kind of won't gabble on too much about it.
But is that the same? Is that, as I said, is that the same in an infuser? Is the same percentage in an infuser if you're putting it in an infuser for the room? Is that still the same percent?
Yeah, so what I would do is if you're wanting to use aromatherapy in a more subtle way, then so with babies, say we put 1 drop per 100 ml or less, then you're kind of going to still dilute it even more.
Okay, I just wanted to check on that. So
and so just going back to essential oils, so there's a couple of things. For example, like mandarin is, and citrus are really lovely to use with babies and young children. What you might find if you're using essential oils in your vaporizer or diffuser and you pop some mandarin in or citrus, what you'll find is that the aroma dissipates quite quickly compared to, say, something like lavender. If you put in lavender, it kind of lasts a bit longer. So that's all to do with the chemical makeup of these oils. Basically, really generally, you're going to have, we talk about, it's kind of like music. Talk about top note, middle note and base note, and that's really simplifying it because it can be a lot more complex. Just the nature of the chemical. So when we use citrus, they're top notes. So, and they're relatively simple, and so they vaporize more easily.
Is there any particular ailment they help with, or any particular reason you'd use those against other oils? I mean, what do they sort of help with? What?
Oh, well, it depends, but say mandarin is really lovely with babies and children, and it's kind of promotes a kind of a cheerfulness and a lightheartedness and a playfulness. So it's kind of a bit of a mood lifter, and it's just relaxing. So something like mandarin. If we're using something like lavender, lavender is more complex, probably generally class it as more like a mid note. So if you're putting a bit of lavender in your diffuser, what you'll find is that it'll kind of linger for a bit longer. Like most diffusers will kind of go for about 4 hours or so. It just depends on your diffuser before they cut out when the water runs out. They usually have an automatic cutout when the water runs low. And you'll find that the lavender aroma will last longer. And it's because it's a more complex and heavier speaking of molecular weight, it's a heavier molecule. So when you're talking about concentrations, it's kind of like if you're using something that smells stronger and is a heavier essential oil, you probably use less for a similar effect. So it's kind of, this is kind of when the experience comes in and the training is that all these things you kind of balance out. And, there's some things that you smell and you just go, oh, no, that's just not for a baby.
No, lavender is supposed to help with sleep. Is that correct? Is it supposed to be quite soothing for somebody to sleep? Is that correct?
Yeah, look, it does. Yeah. Interesting thing about lavender is a small amount of lavender is relaxing, but if you use a lot of lavender, it's actually stimulating.
Yes.
So less is not, more is not better kind of thing.
Yeah.
Necessarily. Also, you need to take into consideration, most people like lavender, but if you just take into consideration what the mum likes and whoever else is sharing the space.
No, I've just been told that helps with baby sleep. Lavender is very good for sleep. That's why I asked.
Yes, that's right. However, you might come across a mum or someone else in the household that just has an aversion to the aroma of lavender. So obviously it's just like not going to work. Even if your baby likes it.
Yeah, that's true.
You really need to use something that you like. Don't use something that you think you should use if it smells awful to you on the day.
Yep, fair enough. Yep, no, and I love the smell of ylang ylang. That's my favorite. I don't know why I like it. I just love the smell of ylang ylang. I don't know what it helps with, but that's my most favorite oil is ylang ylang. I just love the smell. I can sit and sniff it for ages.
Yeah,
it's just such a beautiful smell.
Yeah, so ylang is it's a tropical. It's from the flower of a tropical plant, and it's really very. It's quite strong, and it's very fragrant. And some people just will not like it, and other people can't get enough of it. So it's obviously something that your body needs.
I love it.
And again, ylang is one of those ones which is quite strong. So you would, if you're putting it in a vaporizer for yourself, Helen, you wouldn't put in 8 drops. You probably only need 1 or 2 because it's so strong. You get the effect of it because it's quite complex and it's very floral and quite heady, actually, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's so nice. Yeah,
yeah. I've got
that beautiful smell. It just smells so. It smells so nice.
I mean, I've got a couple of clients who are like you, and they just like, they can't get enough of ylang.
Yeah, so maybe lovely one.
It's the wish to be somewhere tropical.
maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's why I like it. So
yeah. So we should talk about essential oil quality because oils ain't oils.
About the quality, yep. So what's sort of best quality for essential oils?
Right. So without doing all the training, which obviously is not practical for someone, but really you should be able to ask your supplier or the company that you're using. There's certain things that they should be able to answer. The kind of 3 things that you want with your oils. You want them to be 100% pure, which basically means that the oil comes from a single species plant. So from one origin, one plant. You want them to be natural, 100% natural, which in the producing of essential oils, you want what is produced. Usually most essential oils are produced by steam distillation, and I won't go into the technicality of it, but basically what happens is that you use particular parts of a plant depending what the oil is, and I guess very commonly it's the leaves, sometimes it's the flower, but mostly it's the leaves or the green stems. Goes through a period of heat and pressure, and then the vapor comes up from that, and then it gets cools down, which is why the essential oil molecules are limited in size. Okay, so the essential oils kind of end up together and they're still quite complex. That's how most of them are produced. Now, if essential oils have something added to them after that or something taken away, then they are not 100% natural. Okay, you want to have that process not interfered with.
And does that have an effect on the use of the oil if they're interfered with?
Yeah, you're not getting the full complexity of the essential oil mix of that particular plant. So you want it to be 100% natural, 100% pure, 100% complete, and 100% natural, meaning that nothing's added and taken away, synthesized in a laboratory, all that kind of stuff. So how does your average person
get those
know this stuff? Okay, because if you go to a health food shop or someone else who's on some multi-level selling plan,
you're trying to sell, you've got to make sure you're getting a
marketing plan. They're going to tell you stuff which may or may not be accurate. So really what you want to be able to do is ask the person or go to the company's website, and if it's not on the website, then actually send them a message and ask them stuff like, where is this oil from? What plant species is it? How's it produced? What is the part of the plant that's used?
I guess if they can't answer those questions, well, you don't buy from them because they don't know.
Yeah, then you've got to be suspicious. So that sort of stuff can be freely available on a website, but sometimes because the company may not put it on the website because people don't tend to look for that sort of stuff. So if you can't find it, send them a message and say, look, I'm interested in your lavender product or your blah, 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 whatever oil you're interested in, and say, can you please provide me with this information? Can you tell me what plant species it is? Where's it from? How's it produced? What part of the plant is used? Is it cultivated? Is it wild source? Is it organic? Just ask them all those kind of questions. And if they can't answer them, be suspicious. Be suspicious. If it's produced well, that stuff should be at their fingertips. They might even be able to send you like some chemical analyses, which, unless you're a chemist, you're not going to be that interested in. But if they send you that, you might go, oh, okay.
No, that's good to know, because I guess there are a lot of people, as we've said, there are a lot of people out there that just, I'm not going to say the word cowboys, that sounds a bit nasty, but there are a lot of people out there that don't know what they're doing, and they'll try and sell you this stuff and say, oh, this is very good. And if you're going to put in an infuser for your baby, or even in an infuser for yourself in the home, you've got to make sure that what is in that infuser is as natural as it can be. It might as well be a chemical.
Exactly. Yeah. You want to know that it's produced correctly. And, again, if people get a bit bamboozled with this sort of stuff and they want a bit of guidance, feel free to contact me, and I'm more than happy. Because I'm passionate about aromatherapy, I really want to help people, because I know it's something that a lot of people love and they want to use it, but they also want to, if they're smart, they want to use it safely. And it's not that easy to know how to use it safely unless you do a qualification yourself, or you've got a kind of tame aromatherapist around. And I'll just say I'm a tame aromatherapist. I'll help people, because I'd rather, if people are going to use essential oils, I'd rather they use it well and use it safely and use it to benefit them and their families, rather than just kind of stabbing in the dark and doing things which may not be great.
One question that one mum always asks me, and I've asked myself too, is how do you know with an essential oil if it goes rancid or not? Can you tell if it's how long does it keep for? That's what I'm trying to say. And if it's rancid or if something's infected in some way, how can you?
So that's another thing. All the essential oil bottles, they should have a use by date on the bottle. So if there's no use by date or a batch number and a batch number, all that information on the bottle, then again, be suspicious about it. So the bottle should be like a dark bottle, so that
blue, and it should be glass.
Light. So they're usually amber or blue or something like that. And it's what I call essential oil hygiene.
Mhm.
I kind of made up this term when I was teaching some workshops on aromatherapy, and it's kind of, you store your essential oils as something precious. So you're going to store them somewhere dark and cool, so they don't get hot, they don't get light, excessive amounts of light onto them. When you take the stopper off, you don't stick your fingers onto the dripper, and you don't stick your finger inside the cap. You pop out whatever you need, you put the cap back on, and then you put it away. So how do you know if it's gone rancid? Your schnoz should tell you.
Yeah, yeah.
You should know. Look, and if in doubt, don't use it. I mean, you'll know when you first get it and you open it and it smells fabulous. You don't leave the cap off more than you need to. It should stay well for a long time. And if the aroma's not what it should be, then you just go, right, let's throw this one out and get a new one.
Okay. And I guess I know when we first started talking, putting essential oils in the bath, but you should mix them with a bit of milk. I think that's what you said when we first initially had this chat. And and make sure you mix them properly. But I guess, is it safe? Is it safe to put a bit of lavender, or a bit of lemon, and mandarin, the citrus ones in the bath But if you're just a tiny bit, I'm not saying you pour the whole bottle in, just maybe one drop in a whole bath for a baby. Is that, not even a baby, but just a toddler, is that sort of safe to do? Or
I think that's fine, but you do need to use something that's basically going to form an emulsion, because oil and water don't mix. So even if you kind of swish it around a little bit in your baby bath, once that settles, you're going to have the risk of an concentrated essential oil droplet coming in contact with your baby's skin. Now, we talked before about that essential oil molecules are quite small. And we also talked before about how the carrier oil, the massage oil, which might be your almond oil or whatever you choose to use, the molecules are quite big, so they don't get absorbed into the dermis and into the bloodstream. However, the essential oils do, because they're smaller. So they will pass through the skin, through the dermis, and into the bloodstream. So, which is why it's really important that you don't just pop essential oil into the water and expect it's going to mix, because it won't. Oil and water doesn't mix.
Yeah.
So what you need is some form of an emulsifier, and really a nice simple one is milk. We know that there's oil and water in milk, and that the way that it's homogenized milk is basically comes out as a liquid. Unless it's non-homogenized, you're not going to get a blob of fat or oil at the top.
Yeah.
And the watery bit separated. So if people wanted a really simple way to create an emulsion, is to just get a tablespoon of, it's got to be full fat milk. Don't use your low fat milk.
Or soy milk or almond milk, do they work, or does it have to be full fat?
Look, I haven't tried. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just asking. Yeah.
And I don't see why it wouldn't work if it's got a decent fat content of, say, I think fat milk has got about 3.8 or 4%, something like that. So you get a tablespoon of your fat milk, and you just put in a drop of your essential oil. That'll mix in, and then you put that into the bath. Okay. And you just do that fresh each time. And that's a much safer way to do it. However, as we did talk about before, if they're lactose intolerant, or they've got allergies to milk or anything like that, then, you can try something like soy milk or almond milk. And again, you might want to be aware of soy allergies and nut allergies and things like that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
People should be able to find, I don't see why it wouldn't work. I haven't personally tried it, but you'll see, you can just see if it works.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And also do a patch test, I guess, if you're doing a massage as well, which especially on babies, but I don't know if you do that on adults, but I always tell people to do a patch test for babies, whichever oil you're using, whether it's an almond oil, sesame oil, coconut oil, to do a patch test first, because
I think that's
you never
a great
know
idea.
if they're allergic to it or not. And at least if it's a patch test, you can see a little rash coming up. And instead of putting it on the whole baby and then suddenly thinking, oh my goodness, they've got a rash. What is it?
Yeah, I've covered a lot of ground, haven't we?
Yeah, I think we have.
Not that I can think of at the moment, Helen. It's just been, thank you again for asking me to chat and gabble on about aromatherapy.
No, it's good because I think it's such a good topic, and I think a lot of people, it's important that they know how to do it properly.
That's
And I think we've covered all that. So no, thank you, Ruth.
Yeah, thanks, Helen. So my website is Divine Reflexology, it's all one word, .com.au. Divine, DIVINE, reflexology, all one word, .com.au. And if people want to contact me through there, that would be great. I'm really happy to help them.